Let's talk Bethesda's Todd Howard speaks out against Sony over Fallout 64 crossplay.
How
76.
could he?
Fallout 76. What'd I say?
64.
Nintendo 64. Fallout 64.
Your console generation's back.
Yes. So, I know we talked about the crossplay last week a little. Well, yeah, it was last week.
Maybe
And,
2 weeks ago. I don't know. It's all anybody's talking about because there's not that much news going on out there.
Yeah. But it's actually very interesting. I mean, was there backlash against this? I think Sony did reply with something, but
I think this is like a ripple from the Sony Fortnite situation, where there was this outcry from them not supporting, from locking accounts out of playing with other consoles if you log into a PlayStation account, and now this is just a commentary on that, where they have this this guideline where they won't let you do crossplay, so we can't do that. So you have to bring it up with them if you want to play with your Xbox friends. So this is fallout from that.
I think it just goes back to Todd Howard didn't comment on anything any further about whether or not PlayStation would be allowed to play with PC players. So we really still don't know a lot about it, but I think it does because he pretty much pointed the finger at Sony. And that's just kind of how Todd Howard is. He's that kind of person to kind of make a move or a comment like that because he's Todd Howard. He's the guy that directs Fallout and Skyrim, so he's gonna be opinionated and he's gonna share his opinion. That's great, but it does seem like with the timing of everything that was going on with Fortnite, like Jonah was saying, it does seem like it's one of those things where they're definitely pointing the finger at them and kind of piling on with all this other press that they're getting right now. Sony's commented about, they're looking into different ways to kind of not necessarily fix it, but I guess make it more manageable with what they want to do. I don't know what that looks like, and I don't know what the solution is, but I think eventually if these developers are going to keep making comments about it, if we keep having situations like we did with Fortnite where the account was being locked behind a Sony account, then eventually something's going to have to give. I just don't know what it looks like after they come up with their plan to potentially save money, make sure that they're actually making money off of every single game sale.
Well, like we mentioned last week, you weren't here last week, but what I think is, they're going to put it behind, I guess like a paywall or something like that, add it to like a service, but like, okay.
They can't do that. They will, with the way that the gaming community is, like, I feel like that would just be like, you just lost the next console generation if they put it behind a paywall, but sorry to cut you off. Continue.
Well, no, I mean, that's just wanted your opinion because, you think, like, because the way they mention it, it's definitely a business thing that they can't just go out and do it. And obviously...
they can totally do it. It's just not profitable for them to do it.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, do you think... like that's why like they would be like, oh, yeah, sure, no. Okay, you can play... We'll let you play Fortnite. Like, how many accounts? They'll be like, all right, you get you can play 5 games, whatever like that. But if you want more, you have to pay this or whatever, just to make them some money somehow.
And you're not the first one to be talking about it. I've heard it from a couple different podcasts, but I'm like, if they do that, like, they just gave up the next generation. Like, there's no way that they get away with doing something like that. And there's not like huge outcry. Because you look at like even like what Xbox had to go through when they were talking about like DRM with the Xbox One and how quickly they had to turn heel on that kind of a policy. Right. I don't see any kind of situation where they try and charge you more, and if they do, I think they're dead in the water. I think that hurts them, not only from whatever the next generation console is going to be, but also their stock price alone, because their stock price saw a dip with everything that happened with Fortnite. So
yeah, but it's very interesting because Sony's very mysterious of what their future plans are. Like Xbox, Phil Spencer, you kind of like right now, like if just looking at what we have on paper from what they've been talking about, I'm thinking the next Xbox is going to freaking be the most amazing, whatever it is. It's just going to be like game services. You get one console that plays all the Xbox, everything, versus whatever Sony's talking about. They're not even talking backwards compatible. They're not, maybe no cross-play. Who knows? Maybe they're just going to work on their exclusives and hope that you buy it again. And now that everything's kind of moving streaming, maybe they, like you said, I'm sure it'll be a disc-based the next generation, but then again, you never know. I mean, PS3 was a huge, the reason people even bought a PS3 because it was a Blu-ray player as well. And Sony or Xbox banked on the HD format, which failed. So, that was the only thing I think a lot of people were buying PlayStation 3s for, was for the Blu-ray aspect, because Xbox 360, as we know, was like the most, like the craziest console ever. It gave us Xbox Live, or not just Xbox Live, the original Xbox gave that, but they Xbox Live freaking flourished into something awesome, and then they shot themselves in the foot, obviously, with the reveal of the Xbox One and all that stuff. But now that Phil Spencer turned everything around, I'm curious to know what Sony's answer to that will be. So I'm just curious of why it can't just be like, yeah, sure, have some crossplay crossplay. But at the same time, they're at top. I always say it's like they're winning. If you're gonna call it a generation, which is hard now because everything looks the same. But anyway, console generation war, they're winning. They're selling more than Xbox. So if things were reversed, I'm just curious of what the outcome would be. Like how fast would Sony jump on that? But like, of course you can play Fortnite. Why not? Everybody gets Fortnite. So
yeah, I think with PlayStation being in the lead by so much, they're coasting. They don't really need to change too much about their system for the next console. And I think their investors also would think that, just keep it the same, just make it more powerful for the next console.
Yeah. And I'm just curious to know if they're because if you look at like Fortnite, that's a trend game. Is that going to be still popular in 2 years? Who knows? It depends on what happens. So maybe Sony doesn't want to invest in something like let things happen and then be like, oh well, that was just a trend. No one wants to do that anymore, and here we are. We don't want to open up to that. I mean, Fallout 76, I guess that's obviously a newer game, not Fortnite. So I don't know. You were saying, Joe, I'm sorry.
No, it's the loser of the console war basically gets the innovation to win the next round. So I think Xbox is going to come out with a newer system with more stuff, more stuff at launch to do, and the system in general is going to be a more complete console. And the PS5 is going to be it's just what it is now, just better. But it's going to be more restrictive.
4.5. There's your 5.
It's going to be more restrictive, like what Sony's setting. What is the word I'm thinking of? What their statements are for their crossplay. It's going to be the same thing because they're not going to change it much right now because they're winning. They don't need to change it until they start taking losses for PS5. And once that starts happening, they'll start changing it. Bit by bit, or just all together, they'll be like, okay, you can play with Fortnite friends on PS5. But I don't think it'll happen too much in this generation.
Yeah, they don't. It's not offering them something like we talked about last week, Jonah. It's like that one until their sales start hurting, until people like start trading in everything, like a lot of stuff. They're not going to even blink an eye. They're like, yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. They're just waiting to see what happens with everything.
Yeah, just like name changes. Still waiting.
I remember I saw like a leak from an update of like an upcoming PS4 like system update that was like name changes might be coming soon. I'm like, what? That's crazy.
Been coming for like 5 years now.
Yeah. What was the reasoning behind that though? Like why? Like what? It doesn't gain them anything, right?
I heard something once. I don't remember what it was.
It's an infrastructure thing, from my understanding of it. Just from like interviews that I've heard. When they initially designed PSN, because PSN obviously came years after what Xbox Live was doing. Right. And when they designed it, they never really designed it to be able to actually go in and change the name. Think of it as like a big spreadsheet. And think of that at the top. If you had your name on the spreadsheet at the top of the column and all the games and all your information that's been pretty much trickling down this column, if you were to go and change that name, I guess the way that it was coded, it would kind of corrupt
Crash
or lose.
everything.
Yeah, it's not, evidently it's such a problem from an infrastructure standpoint that it's just like the easiest way from my understanding is that like they could probably leave your gamer tag the way that it is, but then also change or leave your profile name, but then allow you to change a secondary name that shows up amongst other players.
Yeah.
But there's evidently no really quick, easy fix to go ahead and change your PlayStation.
They just need to have it so like when you change your name, it shows up as like a stamp or a picture over everything.
Yeah, and that's I guess one of the things they were thinking about trying to do, but it shocks me that they still haven't been able to figure this out. And the thing is too is people would pay to change their name just like they do with Xbox, and that's another source of revenue. You know, they charge Xbox charges you $10.
They used up all their resources paying for that Flute guy to play during E3.
Yeah.
They were going to do it.
Almost,
They had the funds,
right.
but they had to splurge for the Flute guy and the Banjo Man.
Banjo Man.
So, but I mean, yeah, like what are your thoughts on the crossplay still, like especially with a game like Fallout 76? Do you think that's something that would, I mean, I obviously we just talked about Bethesda. No, you guys wouldn't want to play the game anyway, just because of it's not the game itself. It's just the type of game.
Honestly, though, I look at like Fallout 76, and I'm like, I could probably screw around with some friends for a few hours and mess around and something like that. I don't know if I could play through like an entire full Fallout game, but if it's something where, like I said, as I've gotten older, my time spent playing games is a lot more social than anything else. So playing Destiny or Rainbow or Overwatch. So I think about like, hey, you want to go and screw around in Fallout for a little while? I'm probably a little bit more keen on trying something like that out than I would be like, all right, I'm going to go and isolate myself for 50 to 60 hours and play through Fallout 4. So I don't know. It's something that would interest me. I mean, I would want to see if there's like end game content and, what the actual like mechanics and progression of the game look like before I actually commit to something like that. But
here's another question with the whole crossplay. It's like, what is it like with crossplay though? Like, do you want to see more games become crossplay? Because doesn't that make like having a different console like irrelevant? It's just like, I can play everything on the one console.
Yes and no. I mean, you're still going to have the exclusives. You're going to still have their own services that allow for different, abilities. But I think I talked about this a while ago. Like when you look at like crossplay and you look at like communities, like gaming communities, some games live or die based on their community on an actual console. So like, for example, Destiny is really big on PlayStation because a lot of people started there with the exclusive content. But if for some reason Xbox's community for Destiny dwindles, the ability for them to still be able to go and do like nightfalls or raids or party up or become part of a clan allows for the community to be larger, allows for there to be more players in a single universe. So it actually keeps the game alive longer. Mm-hmm. So it's like one of those double-edged swords. In a sense of like, yeah, you're allowing them to go and play with other people on other consoles, but potentially say that if they were going to stop playing 3 months ago, but now they found a bunch of people to play on PlayStation with, and now they're actually paying into microtransactions, getting more content, then is it worth it? Because now you're still profiting off of a player that potentially would have actually stopped playing altogether. So that's my biggest question with crossplay. It increases the amount of community members that allow for you to engage in a certain game like that. Now, is that going to help with a single player game? No. But Division, Destiny, Anthem, these bigger kind of commitment games, Monster Hunter, I think it only benefits them because, like I said, it allows for them to go and seek out other players that might be on a different platform or a clan that might be on a different platform that overall help the community.
Right.
And the business.
As we look at it, that's you're like, for instance, Sony, they're just looking at their numbers that they want. So as gamers, it's awesome. Like if you have it for Xbox and I have PlayStation or vice versa, I would love to play with you without having to be like, okay, I have to invest in another system to try to get that, or we just won't be able to play it together. Because there's been instances like that. Like for instance, Destiny, you ended up getting it for Xbox, I believe, Destiny 2, right? Or no, I'm sorry, Dragon Ball Fighters.
Yeah, that was a pre-order screw up, but yeah.
Yeah. Which wasn't your fault. But anywho, I would have loved to have played online with you, but I already got it I pre-ordered for PS4, so I didn't want to buy the game again. You know what I mean? But like stuff like that. And you're talking about community, and sure, it helps the game itself, but at the same time, how does that help Sony, for instance, if we could cross-platform? They're like, well, we want people to buy our systems, and is this game a system seller? If more, you know what I mean?
It kind of seems like, and again, you're right. Like you talked about it, where Sony is leading console right now, and a lot of people have kind of said that with Sony, I guess when you're a platform holder, you get like 30% of the revenues on like microtransactions or digital content, whatever it is. You make a certain amount. Yeah, you make a certain amount back for every transaction. So why wouldn't you want to actually obtain that?
Yeah.
But I guess the thing is too is that like the question becomes, and this is like a whole nother podcast topic, but like, is Sony scared that if you give them the choice to go and play on Xbox or PlayStation, that they realize that on Xbox Live, the service is a lot better, or Game Pass is a lot better? So does that then become Xbox? Does Xbox become their number one console? And I think it's a fair question. I don't know if that's what they're looking at, or again, it's just like what we were talking about in the sense of, they're winning right now. There's really no reason for them to make any kind of PR move. They can kind of hold their cards until they're ready to make another console announcement.
Yeah. And speaking of PR, that's what I think that this whole article is just a PR thing. It's like, okay, Sony's big on the news.
Yeah.
We just started talking about Fallout 76. I'm just going to throw that out there. That we were open for it, but Sony didn't. Let's start talking about our game.
And Bethesda, for Fallout 76, is a marketing partnership with Xbox. Fallout has always been a marketing partnership with Xbox. So there is some, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Yeah. So there is something to it to look further into. But
yeah. And
that's all I have to say on that.
Yeah. I mean, like
what
I
do
said.
You got, Jonah?
Yeah.
Nothing?
Nothing. It's my only opinion is that it's anti-consumer to keep it locked away.
Yeah,
I agree.
Co-op.
I mean, it's just for us. It's just as the consumer, we want everything. We want everything to be what we want. But then again, it just comes down to how does that help a business, and that's what it comes down to. And
it's just that I see Sony's competitors all working together on this cross-platform thing, and then Sony's just doesn't want to do it. And going so far as to lock away their account if they connect their account to the console, so
well,
they can't play on it.
That's stupid. Like, to me, I don't know. I just think that's stupid.
and like Jonah's saying too, it's like Nintendo's jumping on board for this kind of PR stunt with Minecraft and everything else. It's like, for me, like I figured this would be a Nintendo thing more than it would be a Sony thing. And Nintendo seems to be kind of partnering with Xbox a lot more, or Microsoft a lot more. So interesting times.
Yeah, because Nintendo's usually the one that's like,
yeah, put up our walls.
Exactly.
Get away from the Mario Castle.
Yeah, but hey, you know what? With the Wii U, that was another situation. Like Nintendo was always like the biggest thing, and then the Wii U obviously didn't sell that well. So then now with the Switch, they're open more for conversations. Like, hey, like you said, scratch your back, scratch ours. So I think it's all about who's on top. It'll change, maybe it won't. Now that everything's the decisions have been made, so I doubt they can ever go back on them. Like, you'll never hear Xbox. It'd be stupid of them to go back and be like, yeah, you know what? We're done with crossplay. Shut her down. You know what I mean?
We're done with buy once and play on PC or Xbox.
Exactly. This whole Game Pass thing?
It was a bad idea.
$20 more a month. You know what I mean? Like, it depends. Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen when the next person gets on top tier? Right now, we're looking at it going, well, it's probably not going to be Sony, because unless they have a future plan that they're not letting us know, maybe they just want to surprise us. Maybe they're They can hold that. They don't have to hype anything up. You know what I mean? Like they're fine right now. But who knows? And it'd be nice if they play nice, but then again, like I said, that's the consumer. We want everything. We want everything to be the way we want it, and we hope that everything's fair. But that's not up for us to decide, and that's unfortunate. So that's how it goes. But anyway, let us know what you think down in the comments below.